Today, we're diving into a really powerful story called the Sermon at BENARAS. It's all about finding wisdom, especially when you're dealing with deep, deep sorrow.
So let's start with a really big question, one that honestly, all of us have to face at some point. How do you find peace when you're faced with the biggest loss you can even imagine? This ancient story, it offers a really timeless perspective on that.
But our story doesn't actually begin with loss. Nope. It starts with a life that was completely protected from it. We're going to start with the story of the man who would one day become the Buddha.
So it all begins with a prince, right? His name was Siddhartha Gautama, and he was born into royalty in northern India. And his world, it was just pure luxury, pure comfort. His family made sure he was totally shielded from any kind of human suffering.
But of course, that kind of protected life, it just couldn't last forever. When he was 25, he finally goes outside the palace walls, and for the very first time in his life, he sees a sick person, an old person, and even a funeral. I mean, can you imagine? And these sights, they hit him so hard that he just leaves his comfortable life behind. For 7 whole years, he just wanders looking for answers to all the sorrow he'd just seen. And then finally, he sits down to meditate under a tree for 7 days straight until it comes to him, enlightenment. And from that moment on, he was known as the Buddha, which literally means the enlightened one. And this is where the Buddha's story crosses paths with someone else's. It's the story of a mother, and she is just completely consumed by this unbearable grief.
You see, her name was Kisa Gautami, and she had just lost her only son. And her grief was so overwhelming, she couldn't accept that he was gone. She was so desperate, she actually carried her son's body from house to house, begging her neighbors for some kind of medicine that could bring him back. But all they could say was the same heartbreaking thing. The boy was already dead.
But then, someone saw how desperate she was and had an idea. They suggested she go find the one person who might have an answer for her. They told her, go find the Buddha.
So she finds him, and she just falls at his feet, pleading, begging for a cure, for any medicine at all that could bring her son back to life. Now, the Buddha's response, it was really unexpected. He told her he could help, but first, she had to do something for him. She needed to bring him a handful of mustard seeds. But, and this was the key part, there was a very important catch. The seeds had to come from a house where no one had ever lost someone. Not a child, not a husband, a parent, or even a friend. So, Kisa Gautami is suddenly filled with this new hope, right? She starts her search, going from door to door, really believing that this one simple task is going to save her son. And the people she met, they were so kind to her. They really felt for this grieving mother, and they were more than happy to give her the mustard seed she was asking for. But then she had to ask that crucial question. Has anyone in your family ever died? And the answer, every single time, was the same. Every home she went to had its own story of loss. Every single family understood her grief all too well. So, exhausted and pretty much out of hope, Kisa Gautami just sits down by the side of the road, and she just watches the city lights. She sees them flicker on, burn for a little while, and then they go out. And watching this simple thing, it sparked a huge realization inside her. She suddenly realized that human lives are just like those lights. We flicker into being, and then eventually we're extinguished. And in that moment, she finally got it. Her pain, as huge and all-consuming as it felt, wasn't just hers. It was something everyone experiences. Death, it's common to all. And with this new understanding, Kisa Gautami was finally ready to hear the Buddha's real teaching. And this is the very core of his first sermon, the one he gave in the city of Benaras. So, what did the Buddha teach? He taught that our mortal lives are often troubled, they're brief, and they're filled with pain. He explained that just like a ripe fruit is always in danger of falling from a tree, all of us, all living things, are subject to death. It's just the way things are. And he went on to explain that weeping and grieving, they don't bring us any peace. Actually, they just cause more pain, making our bodies suffer. Our tears can't save the dead. And so the wise person, the one who understands this fundamental truth about the world, they don't grieve in the same way. They find a way to accept it. And so he left everyone with this really powerful image. He said that to find peace, you have to draw out the arrow of sorrow, lamentation, and grief.
By overcoming this sorrow, you can be free from it and find real peace. It's such a profound idea, isn't it? Peace isn't about avoiding pain. It's about moving through it with understanding.